put your hands together for Magnus Sullivan.
In making my first two feature-length adult movies, An Open Invitation and Marriage 2.0, I had the incredible opportunity to work with some of the most amazing adult performers of our generation. And together, we won the Feminist Porn Awards Movie of the Year, Cinekinks Movie of the Year, various AVN and XBiz Awards, and a mainstream independent film critic said Marriage 2.0 has redefined the potential of adult filmmaking. These movies were seen by hundreds of thousands of people around the world, some of whom actually paid for it. During one of my shoots, which was taking place in Kink's upper floor at the Armory in SF, I actually had to stand up and take in the visual feast before me. It was 128 naked people fucking on my behalf for my movie. It was one of the most stunning visuals of my life. And as I was absorbing this, unbeknownst to me, word had just reached my primary social network at the time, which was made up of the parents of the children on my 10-year-old soccer team, that I was not, in fact, an IT entrepreneur. But a hardcore pornographer in an open marriage. It turns out one of the parents had discovered my first film and decided to hold a cocktail party for the other parents on the team and screen the film to them. Now, these are not bad people, actually. These are medical marijuana card-holding, Ivy League-educated yoginis who voted for Bernie. Right? These are good people. These are good people. They're good people. Highly emotionally intelligent, great listeners, capable of incredible empathy, but when it comes to sex, they freak out. And so there I was, appreciating this moment in my life when my phone, as they say, began to blow up. The first call I take is from a parent who says, "I'm sorry, we no longer feel comfortable sending our children to your house for a play date." Why? Because you think there's porn playing 24/7 on our TV and we have orgies when the kids go to bed? I'm sorry, but we just don't know anymore. The second call I take is from a father who asked me with some aggression, "Are you trying to fuck my wife?" And I realized there's no good answer to that question. But there I am, in the middle of this incredible scene, with this thing happening on my phone. And as text after text of shock and disappointment pings my phone, I look around and I ask myself, how did I so flippantly transgress a social boundary with such consequence that jeopardized my wife's career and my children's reputation? It's one of those moments. And I realized that it began with Patrick. At 7 years old, one summer in my backyard. And back then, this is before social media, where you couldn't just be with people who thought like you and looked like you and acted like you all the time. You kind of had to deal with the cards you were dealt. And Patrick and I were neighbors, and we had to deal with each other. And this kid didn't have one athletic bone in his body, but we had to play catch. And so I was sitting there with Patrick, and we're throwing the ball back and forth, and Patrick's trying to throw the ball back and forth. And if you're an athlete and you're kind of trying to play with somebody else and they just can't play with you, it's kind of like, you know, listening to an English major who doesn't know the difference between lie and lay. it just kind of grates on you after a while, and every time they do that, you get a little more frustrated. And I'm like, fucking Patrick, throw the fucking ball. Turn your hips, throw the fucking ball. And he's just like getting more and more nervous every time, like, throw the fucking ball, Patrick, come on, this is all I got, throw the fucking ball. And Patrick finally, in like this moment, inspired moment, he reels back and he launches the ball in entirely the wrong direction. It's like stuck. It gets stuck in the Y joist supporting my deck. Fuck. Patrick, get the ball. And Patrick's like, I can't get the ball. I said, get the fucking ball, Patrick, get the fucking ball. I grab Patrick and I'm pushing him up by his ass and then by his feet. And he finally gets to the top and he's like, it's stuck. Of course it's stuck, Patrick. Pull the fucking ball out, And he just stops. I'm like, yeah, get up, Patrick. I can't hold you up much longer. And he just starts to slide down the pole. And he comes all the way down. And he hits the bottom. And he falls over. And he's just sitting there. I was like, fuck. I get on the pole. I just go right up the pole. Get the ball, and I'm pulling. I was like, shit, it is fucking stuck up there, man. Yeah. And I fall down next to Patrick. And he's looking at me. And we didn't realize it at the time. But we had just had our first pre-ejaculatory orgasm. But we knew. We didn't think or imagine. We knew it had something to do with the pole. And that pole was like an obelisk in 2001: A Space Odyssey. We're like, oh, shit. Patrick. And it's like, it's one of those moments of just like magical thinking, creative. We're like, that pole is directly connected to the center of the earth. Where live beautiful naked women. Because what else could generate that kind of sexual energy, right? So we started to dig. And we dug and dug and dug. And I was like watching Patrick, and I've never seen Patrick work so hard in his life. I was like, oh yeah, that's it, Patrick, we got it. And we dug so deep that after every day, we'd have to get these huge plywood boards and place them over the hole to hide the hole. Eventually, we had to drop a ladder down into the hole with a bucket on a rope to pull the dirt out until, this is no joke, until one day we hit a pipe that was so big, it was as big as we were tall. We're like, oh, shit. And we knew, we just like knew we were not gonna make it to the center of the earth. But, and we talked about it, and we agreed that Patrick would get a dress from his sister's room and a bra and stuff it with tissue. And he would, that's because we were modest, he would climb down into the hole and come up the ladder as if it were the first time he were seeing the surface of the earth. And I hid around the corner, and Patrick came up, and I was like, yeah, and I ran out, and I grabbed him, and I just started kissing him and feeling his tits, because we didn't know, just like doing this, and it's just like, it's just happening, and, it's like, kind of, let's recreate the pole feeling, Patrick, whatever that is, like, just do it. And at that moment, my maid, who was a Black Panther and basically the epitome of cool for me, walks around the corner, and she goes, Andrew, what is going on here? I was like, oh, and Patrick he's had his lipstick smeared all over his face. His lipstick was smeared all over my face, and she just started laughing. And then my sister came around the corner. Fuck. And she started laughing. And Patrick ran home with his dress fluttering behind him, and I ran back into the house. And when my father found out, he didn't think it was too funny. And he made me fill in the hole. And I didn't see Patrick for 2 weeks. And I later found out that that was just enough time for him to recover from the beating that his father gave him. That's where it starts. A few years later, I'm 13, and my father comes down. He says, Andrew, what do you want for your birthday? Is going to date me. I said, I want the 25th anniversary of Playboy. And I thought this, I'm like Irish, man. He's an Irish dude. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm getting this magazine, right? And later that day, he comes home, he says, happy birthday, and he throws this phone book of sex up in the air, and it lands on my bed, and I was like, oh, shit. Oh, shit. I can't believe it. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. And I went into this thing, and for like 3 days, I didn't go outside. Like, people started talking. They're like, where is he? Where is he, man? Where is he? And people, like, come to my room, and I just peek out with these hollowed-out eyes, like, oh, go ahead. I'm sick. Eventually, word gets out that I've got the magazine. And boys start lining up at my window, and they're knocking on my window going, Andrew, we know you got the fucking magazine, man. Come on, man. And I'm like, I know what to do. So I call up my friend Conrad. I'm like, Conrad. He was like the wise elder of the neighborhood. I'm like, what do we do, man? I got this magazine. It's like, it's becoming a problem. And he goes, all right. Give me the magazine. I'm going to take it for a night, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. Like, all right. And so we get together, and Conrad's parents were like biologists at UC Berkeley. And they had like crazy experiments going on. And they'd have these rabbit hutches with these blooms of rabbits, and then they'd disappear. And we never asked any. We were just like, oh, the rabbits are gone. I'm like, oh. So Conrad and I are talking, and we finally come up with this plan. Because, it's the tension in the neighborhood is growing over the magazine, right? And we take the hutches, and we clean them out. We arrange them in this U shape, and we completely cover them. It's totally dark. We put a red boa over the entrance, and we cut out the pictures, and we paste them up on the sides of the hutch. Then we told our friends, come on down. And they lined up. We gave them a flashlight and charged them $0.25 to crawl through. That was my first adult transaction. And I discovered that there was a really powerful connection between sex, money, and mystery. All right? And I didn't quite know what to do with that. I sort of sat on that for a while until the internet came along. And I brought Good Vibrations online in 1994. And I introduced streaming video to the adult industry in 1999 and helped build one of the biggest platforms of streaming video in the world, GameLink. And my company was then acquired by the largest adult company in Europe, Private Media Group, and they made me the head of online. And in one of these meetings, the head of production says, hey man, how come you're not selling more of our movies online? And there was like this awkward pause. And I explained in some detail that in the era of free porn, your movies are irrelevant. And the CEO said, are you serious? It sounds as if you think you can make a better movie. And I said, yeah, I think I can make a better movie. And he gave me the right to make a movie. And that's when I made my first movie. There I was, back on the set, directing a scene with India Summer and Mickey Maude. And I'm trying to describe to them in this scene how somebody goes from what once would have been considered an extraordinary position in life. How do you make that transition from where you are to this place, where you were to this place? They're like profound changes, and they just sort of happen. And I was telling them it's kind of like the way the seasons change, and it's the subtle tilt and rotation of the earth that creates these profound changes in our life. And there I am, and India's makeup is being done, and she's looking at me with incredible focus as I describe the emotional content of the scene we're about to shoot. And somebody's powdering her perfect pussy. And Mickey is standing there stroking his enormous cock, asking me questions about the cadence of his delivery of the lines. And I stand up and I look at them both. And I looked at the chaos of production all around us and their ability to remain so calm and comfortable in the middle of it all. And I realized right then that everything I have done, everything I am doing, and everything I will continue to do is an effort to recapture that shame-free joy and curiosity that was present in those two young boys in my backyard so many years ago.